New article over on ESPN, Jesse Rogers and Kiley McDaniel, a little collab going over the updated contract predictions for the top 4 free agent hitters still available. We saw some big contracts given out to Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber. Me and James trying out something a little different, something I've done on the Draftnik Mark channel, reacting to some articles. But now you get another opinion on this as well. We're going to talk about prior contracts, future contracts, projections, all that kind of stuff. Just some good baseball talk for you guys here on a Tuesday afternoon, after night, whatever it's going to be. Remember to subscribe to the Windup. We really do appreciate you guys. And without further ado, James, let's get started. Shall we skip all the way down to Bo Bichette, the first guy in the article?
Yeah, we can. Also, just maybe to give you guys a little hint of the process here, they said they're using a lot of the Fangraphs WAR projections on these players and what they did over the last few years to kind of figure out these contracts. And also, Jesse Rogers made the point that they still think that the market for these players will be robust because next year's hitting free agency class looks like it'll be weak. They said the projected best 4 hitters next year are going to be Seiya Suzuki, George Springer, and Taylor Ward. 3 hitters, my bad on that one. So that's why they're still thinking that there's big contracts in the offing for these 4 guys coming up.
And, of course, getting us started, Bo Bichette, who they had as the number 7 ranked free agent in all of baseball this offseason. I think that's a little more realistic than where some places have Bo Bichette, because some places were like, this is one of the best 3 hitters available on the entire market. Pump the brakes a little bit. Of course, we know right now there's some injury concerns definitely around Bo, but he showed last year that he can hit. He showed that he could probably play second base pretty well as well in the postseason. Definitely better than he can play shortstop, where he's just not going to be in the future. But that's also what makes this a little bit confusing, is that for their original projection, they had 5 years, $130 million for Bo Bichette. Now they bumped it up to 5 years, $150, assuming long-term deal versus shorter with opt-outs. I just don't see a second baseman getting that kind of money.
I don't. It's funny because that contract, though, that tells you that that's what an elite second baseman could get. I mean, Marcus Semien got the 7 for $175. Altuve has the 5 for $125. He's been playing on. Xander Bogaerts, of course, now you've got to discuss his contracts. I don't think anyone else in the league's making that mistake again. But they comp Bo Bichette inside of the words here to Willy Adames, who got the 7 for $180. And I think that is ill-conceived. Same with
Doesn't make sense.
Same with the bet comparison to Carlos Correa, 6 for $200. I don't think that Major League Baseball right now is treating Bo Bichette like a shortstop anymore. I really don't think so. The way he's played defensively the last few years, the way he's only 28 years old and already has like multiple lower body injuries the last few years, a quad, a calf, the knee this year, the way that his sprint speed, even with these injuries happening, keeps going down and down and down over the years. His average sprint speed this year, I know he dealt with injuries and that pushed it down a lot, especially at the end of the year when he was just walking. That killed that average sprint speed. But it was the same as Yordan Alvarez.
And Yordan Alvarez has the knees of an 100-year-old man.
And Paul Goldschmidt. Like, that was the range where Bo Bichette's sprint speed was. So I do think that the league right now is telling us that Bo Bichette's probably not a shortstop, which makes that 5 for $150 to me seem much higher than I think he's actually going to get.
Yeah, I think comparing him to Adames is also crazy too. While Bo Bichette, I think, is like a better bat-to-ball, like hitter type thing, he's not even close to the fielder that Willy Adames is at shortstop or ever was at shortstop. So that's crazy. And then Carlos Correa, the comp there, I guess, would be the injury concern, right? Because Correa's biggest thing has always been the injuries. But production-wise, Carlos Correa was a better fielder and hitter than Bo Bichette.
Yeah, and again, going back to Adames, like, that's been a very healthy player over the last few years. Like, someone that's just enjoyed his late 20s being, like you said, a really good offensive and defensive shortstop at the same time. Like, Willy Adames, sneakily, he's put up like 4 straight 4-win seasons on average. Like, this is a player who is really, really valuable. I think that defensive value is what really anchored this value last year. I keep saying the word value, but I think, to me, Bo Bichette kind of smells like we might be getting one of these like short-term deals. Like, we might be getting like a 4-year deal with an opt-out after like maybe the first or second deal if a team's willing to do that. But then the qualifying offer makes that weird too, because if you're a team, you don't want to commit only possibly a short-term amount of time to Bo Bichette when you're giving up an asset to sign him. He's a very strange case at the moment. And who are the suitors for Bo Bichette right now?
Well, that's what I was going to say. We're going to have a video out either tomorrow or later in the week going over new free agent predictions for us after seeing everything that's gone on in the market thus far. But it's like the Blue Jays, the Red
Dodgers?
Sox. Yeah, the Dodgers. I don't think so. Like, I think if they're going to spend the money, I don't think it's going to be on Bo Bichette. I still think Kyle Tucker's their main target. Feels like the Blue Jays are the big one. The Red Sox could use a second baseman. I don't see them going out and going after Bo Bichette. Thinking about some of the teams in the National League, is there many? Is there any that are actually interested?
It's hard to pick the team right now. I think also it's a clear indication, again, that people don't view Bo Bichette as a shortstop because the Braves just gave Ha-Sung Kim $20 million to be their shortstop, but he didn't even grade out as a good defender last year, coming off a significant shoulder injury. Could definitely bounce back there. But the
And
mark
can't
is
hit like Bo Bichette either.
no, not even close to it. But the mark is telling us that Bo Bichette's not a shortstop. I don't think it's surprising that he's not being viewed there when his own team didn't play him there in the World Series on a bulky knee, of course. No hate for Bo Bichette. But I just
you know who would be really, you know who would make a lot of sense for Bo Bichette?
who
Willie Adames' team, the San Francisco Giants. Like, they don't have a second baseman. He'd make a lot of sense, and it feels like they might do a contract similarly to Matt Chapman, which we talk about in a video in a couple days, where it's like, wait.
3
Here's
for
a
60.
contract that's like aggressive. You might look back and say, how did they get that? That's so good, but it's because you waited and because the qualifying offer attached.
Bo Bichette to the Giants is a funny idea too, because one, I think that again, you're not going to get power from Bo Bichette in any ballpark, but then maybe leaning into the outfield, the dimensions, the opposite field approach. But I think, let's see, last year he hit 19 home runs. If he played every game in San Francisco, yeah, he only would have hit 16. Not that big of a difference. But Bo Bichette's power alley being to right center field and then going to San Francisco, he might hit 6 home runs next year.
Yeah. So, like, he's a weird free agent that his best fit is clearly with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays can give him the most aggressive offer in terms of, like, even if they wanted to do with opt-outs, because they gave him the qualifying offer, so there's no risk there. It feels like that's the perfect world. If Bo Bichette got 5 for 150, I would truly be shocked. And again, it's not because he's not a good player. Obviously, he can mash at the plate. It's just the fits are weird, and he's a second baseman who, again, we think he can play the position, but his defense over the last few years hasn't been good at shortstop.
Do you think there's any world where there's still a chance the Blue Jays sign both Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette?
Yes, just because they do have, like, the fuck you money, like, similarly to, like, the Mets and the Dodgers and, like, those teams. Like, Rogers owns the Blue Jays, if I'm correct. So if Verizon Wireless owned a baseball team, I'd expect them to be able to sign anybody too. And it does seem like the Blue Jays aren't worried about it. We just saw them hand Tyler Rogers what could be like a 4-year, $45-50 million deal for a reliever. So, like, I think they're just going to spend money on players that they think are good. They got that close to the World Series. They could taste it. They were outs away. They want to win that thing, and bringing Bo Bichette helps them.
Maybe this becomes similar to the Pete Alonso Mets situation from last year, where because that qualifying offer is attached to Bo Bichette and teams, I'm sure there's confidence he could play second base, but there's not like an absolute bona fide guarantee because he's never done it while being healthy. Like, maybe he just signs like a 3-year deal with the Blue Jays, but an opt out after 1 and 2. Like, maybe that's just
3
how
for
this
90.
winds up.
Yeah,
because if he doesn't get the money, also probably similar to Alex Bregman last year.
Yeah, I just I don't see this 5 for 150. That one to me feels crazy. I didn't see the 5 for 130 to be honest, but 5 for 150 I can't even imagine.
Just because he's not a shortstop, I think that's the one big thing here.
It would be shocking. Like you said, Simeon got 7 for 175, and that was coming off of great hitting seasons and an elite glove.
Yeah, literally.
All right. Next up, Alex Bregman, free agent ranking number 4. I will say I do like that. I was going through my third base rankings. Alex Bregman's just so good. I think we all missed the boat a little bit last year. Like, teams, again, the qualifying offer being attached definitely plays a part into it. But I think he's going to get paid, I think, this offseason. I don't think that there's a doubt about that. It's just, is it going to be anybody but the Red Sox?
Yeah, and it feels like it might be the Cubs. Doesn't it seem like the Cubs are kind of sneaking their way in here?
Hearing their name more and more, which would make sense because, like, while Matt Shaw finished the season well, I think for a Cubs team, better than it started. That's more so what it is. Alex Bregman's clearly way better. Like, you're talking about one of the better third basemen in the game versus one of the weaker in Matt Shaw. And then also at the same time, I think the Cubs, while they don't spend money, they are trying to win now as much as they can without trying to win now by spending money. So Alex Bregman makes his team a lot better. They clearly weren't good enough last year. You kind of can't roll out the same team that you had. It's just a weird fit in Wrigley because, again, if you pull the ball down the line, which is what Alex Bregman's like big thing is for home runs, he might hit 10 home runs in Wrigley.
It's funny you say bring back same team they had. They're losing Kyle Tucker. Like, he's
even worse, actually. You're right. They'd be even worse.
Talk about the one team that's not been linked to Kyle Tucker this offseason is the Chicago Cubs, which I don't know if we should be taking that in stride or what we should mean by that or whatever. But also, I think the market did still highly value Bregman last year. He's made $40 million for the 1 year of baseball that he played. Like, that was
what it was. But, like, truthfully, like, I feel like he should have gotten like a 5 or 6 year deal probably last offseason. It was just, again, he probably wanted to max his money out.
Max his money out and probably go to a ballpark where he knew he could mash. But we've also, this kind of been a fallacy that you and I have run with for years and years now. If you look at Bregman's home road splits for his career, it's basically the exact same OPS. Like,
I know that, but I'm just saying for pulling the baseball.
Definitely. At the end of the day, though, I'm so confident in his ability as a baseball player, as a hitter. And again, just to have similar to what we talked about before with Adames, not 1-to-1, but like he's just going to be like a 3 to 5 win player, like in perpetuity. The defense is so good. The play discipline's so good. He's such a great person to have in these clubhouses. Like, he's just such a good guy to have. And the Cubs kind of need a move. Like, as of right now, the way, again, losing Tucker, the bottom of their order is weak.
Bad.
Like, Dansby Swanson's taking a few steps back at the plate. Like, I don't know if they're going to go into the season with Mobo as their DH, Mobile. Like, and then Shaw's a very strange hitter. Like, I know the Shaw was a big draft pick and a big prospect. You kind of always want to assume linear progression from those guys, but he had to make a big swing change after being in the league only for a few weeks. Where
I think
he was
like 3 games he made a change.
I think he had the most closed stance in the league. Either him or Giancarlo Stanton had the two most closed stances by angle in all of Major League Baseball.
Couldn't be polar opposites either of kinds of players.
True, because Giancarlo Stanton has the fastest bat speed in the league still, or one of the fastest, even though he's still this old, and Matt Shaw is one of the slowest. It's very hard to be that closed when you have that far to get around and not have elite bat speed. And the Shaw opened up progressively as the season went on and shortened up a swing a little bit while he did it, and that got him to being like league average adjacent. But there's probably some fair questions about going into next season with Matt Shaw as your third baseman if you want to win a division.
Yeah, and these projections for Alex Bregman, I don't think these contracts are crazy by any means. Again, if you're thinking Bo Bichette's going to get 5 for 150, I feel okay giving Bregman that same range, 5 for 160, 170. And if you go higher AAV or higher years, you lower the AAV a little bit. Like, I think Bregman is a more sure bet for sure.
Definitely, and Bregman also is right now the exact same age as when Matt Chapman signed his extension with the Giants, like you mentioned before. And Matt Chapman signed a 6-year 150.
Yeah, I think that's right around the range. You just might get paid a little bit more money because it seems like Bregman has a little more shine than Chapman did. But, like, I think he's a good ball player. I think a lot of teams would be interested in him. I think the Mets could even possibly be interested in him as a possibility for the right contract on the right deal.
I don't see the Mets being the guy the Mets jump for, though. Honestly.
I don't think so either, but I could see if Bregman's like, you know what, I want to do another Red Sox contract again. Mets be like, all right, 1 year. I mean, why not?
Is there another fit besides the Cubs and the Red Sox that we see as a legitimate fit?
You know who should be a fit? The Yankees should be all over Alex Bregman. I know you have Ryan McMahon, but, like, I mean, he looked horrible. So, like,
very bad.
Alex Bregman would be awesome there. It's just I don't think Yankee fans would ever allow that to happen. They would be such backtrackers.
No, I think there would be an openness once again. Once the guy's on your team, I think you wind up being more okay with him than you were before. Now, we want to defend.
There would be the spineless Yankee fans that they always are, which is hate this guy until he gets here because you booed him endlessly. And now he's like, well, maybe the cheating scandal wasn't that big of a deal.
Also, don't forget that left field Yankee Stadium is not necessarily as kind as of course, right field Yankee Stadium. I think that's a legitimate thing.
Left field is also still short, though. Down the line, it's still like 310.
It's short, but once you get into that left center
gaps,
alley, yes, it's Yankee Stadium is not really a hitter's haven anymore. You have to like kind of mimic the Crawford boxes to get that kind of production out of Bregman. Like, I do wonder, like, I wish we said this beginning of the offseason. I kind of wish some of these lower market teams would be more
Pirates.
And a guy like the Pirates. I know the Royals just signed Michael Garcia to that big extension, but
The
he could go back to
Reds?
second base. The Reds would be awesome for Bregman. Be perfect.
Be such a good spot for him.
But that money was only going to Kyle Schwarber, apparently, according to Bob Castellani. Like, that's
to sell more tickets.
Yeah, of course. But, like, it's like there's just some of these teams. Like, what about the Athletics?
Yeah.
Like, Alex Bregman would destroy there. He would be the 2-hitter. He'd be in the that would automatically
40 home runs.
That'd become one of the best lineups in the American League. And also, like, seeing again, they'll never spend this money. I'm just talking to the void right now. No one's going to listen to this, but like, seeing the way he interacted with those young Red Sox players last year, like, you could do so much for this young core you're building over there to bring Bregman into that, give some veteran legitimacy.
Yeah, I think in terms of like projections for these contracts and the market similarly might not be that many teams, but I think the projections are a little more accurate on an Alex Bregman one, where I don't think Bo Bichette's gonna. Those two guys getting the same money doesn't feel right, especially with the pedigree and resume that these guys have.
Totally. I still probably think like a teeny bit expensive. But I do think, I don't know, maybe the way that those Schwarber and Alonso contracts were signed, like maybe all these hitters just get a little bit more than we think.
I think so. I think that's kind of where we're going right now. And I think these hitters are kind of fighting for it because you don't want to be a free agent next offseason, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't seem like it. But also maybe you do, because none of these free agent hitters are going to be good next offseason.
It's more about the lockout, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cody Bellinger up next. This is James' favorite guy to talk about right now. I know you're going to have something to say about these contract projections. Original one was 6 years, $165 million. The updated one is 6 years, $180 million. James, take it away.
Yeah, similar to Bichette. I did a video on my own channel about a week and a half ago now, where Bellinger and Bichette were two of the free agents I like the least on the market. I can't really see these projections as coming to fruition, mostly for the fact that Bellinger 2 years ago was on the open market. He struggled to get a long-term deal when he was 27 or 28 years old at the time. Last year, he got traded for a bag of bones. Like the Cubs last year were just begging someone to take the Cody Bellinger money and do it. I still think there's a lot of fear around the league into what Cody Bellinger could be long term for like hitting consistency to give him a long deal. And it's funny here that the comparison used here was Brandon Nimmo, the 162. The Mets were dying to get rid of that contract less than a month ago. Like that was a priority for the Mets this offseason was let's not keep this Brandon Nimmo contract on our books. Like I think that was from their perspective, like kind of a fair way to go about what happened there.
And weirdly for Nimmo, just to talk about his contract for a second, he like his power stuff looked better than it really ever has, which is one thing where you were like, oh, okay, that's kind of good as he's getting older. He's hitting the ball harder, hitting the ball in the air more, pulling the ball. Where Bellinger, the hit stuff is probably the biggest question mark because it seems like he's still going to be a premier outfielder defensively. He's great in the corners. He could play center field for the next year or two if you need him to, but he won't be an elite glove. He will be much more elite in the corners defensively. Here's the thing. I do think he's going to get paid, though. It's interesting, though, again, to comp him to Nimmo, because 8-year 162, that's like, what, $20 million a year, basically, like 20 and a quarter, I think. Mm-hmm. But then you go 6 years, 180 for Cody Bellinger. It's like, well, I don't think he's going to get $10 million more a year. That feels a lot. If you told me, again, like 6 years, 140, 150 for Bellinger, I think I could believe that more. Why would anybody give him $30 million a year for that length of the contract?
Especially when, again, like you've seen the last few years when he couldn't get the long-term deal that he wanted 2 years ago, you've seen major inconsistencies like year to year. Like we've had a 50-point swing in ISO and a 100-point swing in Cody Bellinger slugging over the last 3 seasons. Like you don't really want that from a long-term deal. And like he just had his career year with the Yankees. But I think every single team is like, wait a second. Like you're a pulled fly ball king. You played Yankee Stadium, and every single day you either hit in front of or behind Aaron Judge. So it's like it's funny that the Yankees are the team that I think can maximize what Cody Bellinger is and what he can be for the next few years. Like he's oddly more valuable to them because of those. Again, they're hitting around Aaron Judge like that. That's a great thing. Any player would love to do that. Yes. But just their ballpark is the best place for him to be. Like he pulls one of the highest rates of fly balls in the league, and he does that with not elite bat speed and poor power metrics year over year over year. You make great swing decisions. You make a lot of contact, and again, you're pulling those fly balls. There's a lot of ballparks that will not be as kind to Cody Bellinger doing that, especially not more kind than Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, he's someone that, like, I was shocked that the Phillies weren't more linked to, just because, again, that left-handed bat in an outfield that desperately needs more athleticism and help. I would have thought they would have been all over him.
And he also would have fit the vibe of that team. Cody, Trey, Kyle, Bryce, Bryson, Alec. But also maybe this is a message to us about how the market's reacting right now, where you saw the underlying stuff with Kyle Schwarber. Like I'm sure this guy's going to mash for the next 3 years. There's no doubt about it. And then you see the underlying stuff with Cody Bellinger. It's like I don't really know. Like the wheels could fall off of Cody Bellinger at the plate. He can recoup some value as a defensive player. But like I've on this channel, on my channel, on Mets Up, like I've comped him to Jason Hayward a little bit this offseason.
You're scared of him.
I'm just if it was 4 for 110, I'd do that. I would do that. But like I'm not giving him 6 or 7. There's no way. He's already 30. Like
I definitely like Bellinger more than you. Like, I wanted him last offseason on the Mets, like, when he was available for trade, especially because he was going to go for free. Easily. I was like, oh, my God, I want this guy. It's year 5, year 6, year 7, whatever it's going to be for Bellinger. I think the next 3-4 seasons will be good. And there are so many teams that could use him. So many. And, again, we're hearing nothing. Like, off the top of my head, teams that I think Cody Bellinger would make a lot of sense for. How about the Cincinnati Reds? Would make a ton of sense there. That team could really use him. Everyone in the comment section tell us he'll never sign with the Astros. He hates them. Won't play for them, apparently. That's what the news is. But boy, oh boy, would he be amazing in that ballpark. He'd be sick there. He'd be so good. You mentioned the A's earlier. I think the A's would be another good spot for him. I know they'd kind of have an outfield glut, but like you can maybe make some moves to make your team better elsewhere. The Brewers, I think, would be a good spot for them.
I was about to say the Brewers. The Brewers would be a perfect fit for Cody Bellinger. Of course, these are teams that don't seem
How
like
about the Dodgers?
Yeah, Dodgers would be a good fit.
Blue Jays.
Would be there's a lot of places he's
Mets,
good fit.
Technically.
He's a very easy player to fit into a team, especially because you can get like great first base defense too. Like he can move around. Bellinger's also done a good thing in the last few years where he's really closed his platoon split. Like he's now a guy that can hit lefties well. You don't have to take him out of the lineup ever. Like he's not at risk to be platooned in any way, shape, or form. But I also wonder maybe he can be a better center fielder than we're letting on at this point. Like maybe just the fact that he was flanked by some horrific corner defenders last year when he played center with the Yankees, maybe that hurt his performance in center field. I don't know. Maybe a team could see something there. I don't know. The hitting profile is a little bit too for me to be like, yeah, I can give him 6 years.
There's nothing that he definitively does well besides like not strike out. That's like his big
No.
thing now is he doesn't strike out.
Yeah, great contact ability, and he's really good at pulling the fly balls he makes contact on. And when you're able to do that, you're definitely making good swing decisions.
yes.
You're good at
Yeah.
identifying pitches to hit. Like, he has that skill for sure now. He's developed that. But the power just never came back from the shoulder. So it's like, what do you want to buy? I mean, like, what if he has the season he had in 2024 again? Like, what if he has a, like a 740 OPS season with 18 homers, but really good corner outfield defense?
Then all of a sudden you're looking at this and you're like, $30 million a year for the next 5 seasons. Like, what in the world did we just do? That's the scary part of Cody Bellinger. But I still like him.
I do like him, but I think that this is the one
Pirates
guy
could use
where
him.
Pirates could change the Pirates franchise, Cody Bellinger. But he's someone who I see as everything that we're getting from the media, the contract projection, doesn't seem to match the way teams, I think, are thinking about him. And the way we just saw him think about him recently. Like, this just happened. He was just on the market. But, like, if he got a 6-year deal, I'd be shocked. I think he, to me, is like a 5 for 125 guy, 5 for 130.
I think it would be crazy for him to get paid more than what Alonso and Schwarber got because they're just so much better hitters. But I do think it's probably going to be around that. I think it's going to be like 5/140 area.
Yeah, but again, a little bit less than that, but maybe in that same range.
Yeah, 6 for 180 feels crazy. There's no way. You're muted.
No, there was a siren behind me. I was trying to mute out of that, but you came off quick. But like, I don't know, like there's not enough smoke for the contracts that we're hearing about him.
Last guy. Let's talk about the big one. Kyle Tucker. Doesn't really seem like there's many teams that are going to sign him. This is the weirdest one because I think, and we've talked about this before, we're definitely going way too much in the direction. Like, Kyle Tucker's still an elite baseball player. He's still a phenomenal hitter. He's still awesome. He's not going to get the $500 million that kind of got rumored before the season started. It also feels like he might not get the $400 million. And right now, the projections haven't changed. 11 years, $418 million. And I don't think he's going to get that. I wouldn't say that this would be a bad contract. I just don't see it.
No, I don't either. But there's also something that we're seeing now that we see every offseason where kind of the hive mind does take over. And it seems like the hive mind doesn't want to give Kyle Tucker 10 years, right? Like, that's kind of what
feels like what we're hearing.
Like.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, you look at Kyle Tucker and it's like he doesn't have elite bat speed,
But he does hit the ball very hard, though, despite not having elite bat speed, which tells you that the quality of contact he's making is unbelievably good. And maybe that's just what it is.
It's definitely a special swing path, but like all of these teams are thinking, like, if I'm giving 28-year-old Kyle Tucker an 11-year contract, when he's 35, like, average bat speed will go down to below average bat speed. Then does that hard contact stay? Then you're relying on swing decisions. He's already not a great outfield defender. Like, then you just once he turns 35, you just brought 30-year-old Brandon Nimmo.
He's a guy who max X velo is never high, right? But he has crazy high barrel rates always, if I'm correct.
Yeah, because he's a good lifter. He's a good puller. He has, and again, I think Kyle Tucker has a sensational swing path. Like, he's someone that gets good lift on the ball, like, very naturally.
Good game power.
Yes, he's got that. Also, he's got that very it's a beautiful swing. I remember it was years and years ago. Kyle Tucker was still a minor leaguer with the Astros, and there was a biopic, a documentary coming out about Ted Williams, and they used Kyle Tucker as the silent Ted Williams character in the box because of how similar he moved and looked like him. Which, again, it's funny to. I'm not comparing him to Ted Williams, but like, he just has like a picturesque, beautiful, perfect swing, and he makes great swing decisions on top of that. But the weirdness of the last few seasons and just the teeniest, tiniest chinks in the profile, that probably does stop him from getting the mega deal that we thought.
Yeah, and it feels like it's going to be more in the range of, again, an aggressive shorter-term deal with opt-outs basically every single year. Like, this is going to be a very much catered to Kyle Tucker deal where you're going to get big AAV, you're going to get big money, but you're going to have the ability to change those qualifications, those ramifications at any moment.
Yeah, almost more similar to, like, I don't know, like the Yelich deal from a while back. Like, and maybe these aren't the most dissimilar players either at the time. Yelich at that time might have even been more valuable because we did defensively. You also get the weird little crumbs that leak out about Kyle Tucker, which I don't believe, but they're out there that you'll always get these this time of year. The guy doesn't like love baseball, like people always hint at that.
Did people say that about him?
That's a thing that gets hinted about him. That it's like he kind of like he plays baseball. He's not like a baseball rat,
Not a rat. Gotcha.
Yeah, but like it's again no corroboration to that whatsoever. I don't know. There's also a funny thing with a guy like Kyle Tucker where. Not the case of a guy like Alonso. Again, maybe it is. I don't really know. But, like, he has 2 rings already. It's like, once he makes a big contract, it's like, all right, I'm just out here playing now. Like, I don't know. The last 2 years are weird. Like, the tiny little ticky-tack injuries make me feel strange. The Astros trading him is weird.
Yeah, but the Astros trade him to the other poor team, like playing
Yeah.
pretending to be poor the Chicago Cubs.
And then the team that had him in the building all year is like, we're not even going to consider re-signing you. There's
And maybe
no chance.
Maybe that's more of like the
Maybe more
fact
about
that
them.
yeah, well, I think it's definitely more on the Cubs, but also Kyle Tucker being like, I want to go get paid, and the Cubs are like, we definitely aren't giving you money.
Yeah, just he like in this article, like Jesse and Kiley, like they mentioned like Juan Soto, but of course it's not that crazy. And then they brought up Mookie Betts, where it's like there's no
Not even
way.
close to the same player either.
No, and like I know the market's changed a lot in the years since Mookie Betts signed his extension with the Dodgers, but as of right now, the teams that continuously are linked to Kyle Tucker are the Mets,
Three.
the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. And it's like the Dodgers and the Mets I don't think would ever go above a 5-year deal for Kyle Tucker. So it's kind of just the Blue Jays playing chicken.
Yeah, like the Kyle Tucker offseason is all a game of chicken. We've mentioned on Mets Up where it's gonna who's gonna budge first, who's gonna get closer and closer to what Kyle Tucker wants on the free agent market, because it just as crazy as it is, and it's kind of similar to what we've talked about with some of the other premier big free agents of the past, like even thinking years and years ago, where it was like Manny Machado and Bryce Harper signing in March right before spring training, signing in February, whenever it was. Everybody knows these guys are really good, but it was waiting and waiting and waiting. And they ended up getting their deal, and maybe that is what's going to happen with Kyle Tucker. Maybe as it gets closer to spring training, someone does cave and gives them the deal that they want. And I don't think it's going to be a bad deal either way. Like, it's tough to ever give anybody more than 5-6 years and be like, that contract's going to be amazing. It's almost impossible. I think the only guy that's really going to prove that wrong is going to be Shohei Ohtani. And again, he's got 2 World Series. He could stop playing baseball tomorrow. He'd be like, I'm happy as a Dodgers fan.
It's also funny, a guy like Kyle Tucker, again, because the way this article was spurned for the big contracts given to Schwarber and Alonso, some bigger than most people thought, I think in some cases too. Like Tucker's career high home runs is 30. Isn't that kind of funny to think about?
It is kind of funny to think about, and it's really annoying too, because the year 2024, before he got that, like,
he's gonna hit 50.
The nagging injury, he was on
It was a shin.
he was going to go toe-to-toe with Aaron Judge for like MVP. Like the numbers were going to be shockingly similar. He just couldn't get back on the field again. But when he was for like those 74, 80 games, I think he had like 25 home runs or something insane.
It was 23 home runs in 78 games, looking at it now. But also, like, that's now a weird thing where I hold that more against the Astros than I do against Kyle Tucker.
Yes.
Because now with the Astros did the same thing this past season to Yordan Alvarez. And when Tucker was on the field that half of the season 2024, he was a better defender than he showed in 2025. He had higher bat speed by a little bit, but he did. He had that better hard hit rate. Of course, like everything was completely locked in. Maybe someone gets a deal, because maybe that's the real Kyle Tucker. Like maybe that age 27 Kyle Tucker, he actually came into his own and he was this next level player. And I was being a mutant last week after the Mets lost Pete Alonso, and I was just going through everything in the world I possibly could at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah, you were being a mute. I forgot about this.
Kyle Tucker actually has experience playing first base, both in the upper minors and briefly in the majors before the pandemic season. So that's something where a team could look at him and be like, you know what? Give me 4 years in the outfield, and then when you really are not good as a left fielder anymore, just go over the first base, ride out the rest of his contract
And
to first
then
base.
when you're 40, you'll DH for us.
Yeah, because you can still be that good of a hitter. This is confounding how Kyle Tucker's free agency, I think, has gone this year. Because I think a lot of people want to pretend like the last 2 off seasons we had like the Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, the big jewel, and he's not that, but he's still very good.
Still like a top 20 player in the league. Like,
yeah, it's hard. Is there even a contract from the last few years we can comp him to?
I'm trying to think like who this could possibly be in terms of like the free agent market, because again, he's the Juan Soto comp is like this. No, it's not the same.
No, of course, like the contract might wind up looking more similar to Aaron Judge, even though, of course, Kyle Tucker is not Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
No, I know, but like it might be similar where it's under a 10-year commitment, but the AAV might be very high.
I mean, is this just the Bryce Harper contract?
It might be just be the Bryce
It's
Harper
just gonna be
contract.
like
That's so long ago, though. It's even hard to consider that at this point. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much more TV money in the league at this point. Like, that is such a cheap contract. Like, is this? Does he get double the Anthony Santander contract for the same years? Does he get 5 years, $190 million? Like, is it something like that? Like, even does he get 5 years, $220 million?
Yeah, it is tough. It feels like he's going to be in that $30 million a year range if he wants the longer term contract, like the upper 30s. I don't know if he hits 40.
It has to be 30.
Yeah.
I think it has. If it's going to be over 8 years, I think it's 35 million AAV. But then once you start to go to like 5 or 6 years, I think the AAV sneaks into the low 40s. Like, I think
it should.
Yeah, I think for sure. It'd be funny if the Mets did that and they committed almost $100 million AAV to 2 outfielders. But those would be 2 of the 15 best hitters in baseball. Also, just looking at the every outfielder can contract in baseball right now, sorted by AAV. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Trent Grisham has the 8th highest AAV heading into the season. Was qualifying offer he accepted.
It's crazy the Yankees aren't more in on Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're much more in on Cody Bellinger, but it seemed like a fit for them heading into the offseason. I don't know why there's no smoke whatsoever. It seems like even the Yankee people are like kind of quit on the possibility of it.
You think Cody Bellinger's going to hit well there, hit 30 home runs a year. What do you think Kyle
Tucker's
Tucker's going to do? He might hit 45 home runs a year.
No, Kyle Tucker's awesome. Again, I think we've gone too far against Kyle Tucker right now in the world, but I think we have to see how teams are evaluating him, and that's the way they are.
What do you think his final contract ends up being? Again, we're gonna do our team predictions for the free agents again later this week. What do you think his final money is going to be?
I'm trying to do math. 8 for what's 8 times 35?
8 times 35. I'll get that for you right now. 8 times 35 is 280.
Yeah, so it's 8 for 280.
I think it's going to start with a 3. His contract. I think it's got to be in the 300 million range. I think there's no way unless he goes like the hyper like 3 for 120, like the Alex Bregman type stuff.
5 for 250.
Yeah, 5 for 250, something insane like that. I kind of like where you're going with 8, but I'm gonna do 10 for 350. 10 for 350.
So here's another thing. Well, I won't ask you who's going to sign this. Who of these 4 do you think signs first, and who do you think signs last?
Ooh, love that. Okay, last.
Good way to close this.
Last is gonna be Bo Bichette.
Okay.
Because Bo Bichette almost can't get signed until the Blue Jays know what they're doing with Kyle Tucker. Because Kyle Tucker's got to be your main focus right now. He's just a better player who will make the biggest impact for this team. At the end of the day, the Blue Jays can rock with like a great defensive infield, but you have Kyle Tucker out there in the outfield. It's going to make a huge difference. So I think Bo Bichette's my last. The first guy to sign, I think it's going to be Bregman. I think the fact that he waited so long last offseason, I think he just... Maybe after Christmas, maybe after the holidays, early January, Alex Bregman signs.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I think also just him in the Red Sox.
Did you just have a train, by the way, go by your apartment? What was that?
It's definitely a very loud, like 18-wheeler. Who knows what's going on out there? I saw a dude doing man on the street this morning outside my house.
Really?
Like, you get out of here. But yeah, I don't know. Bellinger to me seems like the one that might sign last because it seems like they're just willing. He's done this before. Last possible second.
That would be my second pick to sign last. Is him because again, if this is what he's expecting deal wise, 6 for 160 to 180, just don't know who's paying that.
And Tucker kind of just has to be first.
He should be. Everybody should be jumping at Kyle Tucker. Again, all the teams we mentioned that would be great fits for Cody Bellinger would be really good fits for an even better player in Kyle Tucker.
Also, just because the market can't move that much for these other guys if he's not signed. He's not a Boris guy though. He's Excel Sports Management.
Okay.
Maybe. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means, but
I have no clue.
But whatever.
I would love to know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section below. Also, let us know what you think about this kind of content. Well, you guys seem to love when we yap. So here's a yap session for you. We talked about 4 players for 35 minutes. Enjoy it. That's baseball for us. Subscribe to Windup. Follow James on social media at
James Chiano.
And we will catch you guys on the next video sometime later this week. We got a lot of free agent content coming up, so make sure you're here for it. See you guys.